Good morning to you, as we now on our Sunday morning book feature, we put a spotlight on a very touchy topic that to this day still sparks heated conversations when brought up in social settings and social media. We are discussing a book titled Black Tax, Burden or Ubuntu, and this is a collection of provocative essays detailing personal accounts and opinions on the matter. The read is compiled by Niq Mhlongo and features some of South Africa's prolific literary voices, including Fred Khumalo, Makholwa, Nyathi, and many others. Niq Mhlongo, Outlwile, Tsipane, and Nkateko Masinga are in studio with us this morning to discuss their contribution in this offering. Lady and gentlemen, a very good morning. Welcome.
Morning.
Okay, before we get deeper into the conversation around this book, let's talk about black tax and why is it called black tax when one is discharging his or her responsibilities, particularly to family. Nick?
Actually, the term black tax is a colloquial term, and then I know that it's got negative connotation, but we put it there, advisedly, because it's a term that is used every day by South Africans who feel that they have family responsibilities, or those who feel that actually that's not family responsibility, is just a burden to them. So that's why we put it that way, because actually it's a term that is we're familiar with. So that's why you are able to call us today and say it's provocative, I guess.
Now, Outlwile,
Yes,
Nick says it's a colloquial term.
Yeah.
So should it be used though?
I mean, I don't think there exists any other term for now, you know, as a reference point.
Yeah.
And then what you are actually asking then is to say, you know, that is why we decided on the book to say, you know, at least, you know, it's been out there in terms of the book. You know, people have been saying it, there have been articles about it. But now we've compiled a book to say, at least, you know, this golden book to say, here's a reference point people have to refer to. And we're not even saying that it's something exhaustive. We're not saying that, you know, we are intellectualizing anything to say we've got the solutions. But at least for now, people have got a reference point, and people are very, very happy in terms of this book. They can relate, they find themselves within the particular essays that we've written. Yeah.
Right. Now, Nkateko, your essay, Casting a Spell on Poverty, focuses more on the psychological burdens that come with black tax. Take us through that.
I wanted to focus on what university students in South Africa go through, particularly students from previously disadvantaged backgrounds. Okay. So I felt that in a way getting a degree is a form of a spell that you cast on poverty, because for some people, for a lot of people that I went to university with, they were the first in their families to get a tertiary qualification, and for them it was a way of getting rid of the poverty in their family, so that the cycle doesn't continue.
So where do we draw the line then between personal accounts and opinions?
Sure. It's difficult. It's difficult, and I think the point of this book is just to get the conversation started. No one is claiming to have all the answers, and I think from my perspective, I just wanted to share what I've seen in the university environment, the form of black tax that students pay. Yeah.
Now, Outlwile, your piece speaks about black tax having been there for many generations, and future generations should not be burdened by the prospect of it.
Definitely. Some of the people within the essay even, you know, trace it to, you know, to colonialism. All right, and what I do within my essay is to trace it, you know, through apartheid. As much as I'm centering this particular person, which is my grandmother, but what I'm doing now is to say, how is that legal, you know, constructs or systems of apartheid affected, you know, the black people, to say that, yeah.
So how does this book then help us understand or spark conversations around black tax?
You know,
and its implications?
Yes. As I say, there's 26 essays within there. Now, the feedback that we've been getting in terms of the essays, people have been saying, you know, we found people in depressive episodes to say, you have saved me. We have found people to say, you know, sending us messages to say, you know, I did not even know that, you know, I've been asking myself, what is this thing that is weighing me down?
Yes.
Now, having read the book, you have sort of saved me, from my burden in that sense. And it speaks to so many things. I mean, you get delayed successes from people, and all of these other effects that it has. To a point, people are even doing it almost as second nature. People even find it obligatory that they should be doing that. Yeah.
Now, Niq, he talks about people having delayed successes and how this particular book will help them, overcome whatever obstacles that they come across along the way on their, path to their success. So, and one of the recurring themes in this book is between black tax and generational wealth.
Yes. Yeah, actually, let me just be honest to you that, my understanding of black tax before compiling all these essays was very limited. And the book has taught me quite a lot in terms of extending my scope about this black tax. Because sometimes, you are doing things unaware. But when we talk about a black tax, I mean, what was the question? Sorry.
I mean, the generational wealth and black tax,
Yeah, so when we talk about generational wealth, actually, it's something that I've learned also from the book itself. So, meaning that it is something that we as black people do not have, or maybe it has been taken from us. There's an essay, I think, I'm sure, by Thando Jiga, which talks about where he comes from in the Free State, where they had land before. It's something that you could, if that land was not taken away from his family, is something that he could have had. You already have basics where to start from. You don't start from the scratch whenever you are doing something for your family. Like, for instance, we start having to build a house for your parents, for instance, which is something that it should, if you had generational wealth, it should be something that is already there as a basic need for everybody. So this book takes us about tells us about that when you are a black person, for instance, you start from the scratch, building from the scratch, and it's not about you, it's about the family. You have to build from the family and then support the family, and then up to you. So that's what we talk about when we talk about generational wealth, is that we don't have it at the moment as black people. So maybe it's something that we need to build. We don't know how to build it, but it's something that we need to build. And that's why I'm so happy about the book, because it talks about the necessity of government to somehow, intervene, make regulations, for instance. Somebody mentioned a point that, why do I have to pay tax if ever I'm supporting the family of 15 at home? But when I go to SARS, and talk about, to reclaim my tax and whatever, is the same as a person who doesn't support anybody, So maybe we need to look into all those kind of things to help us build those kind of ways. So we'll never get wealth until maybe there should be some regulatory body that talks about it with us.
Well, at least the consolation is that our future offspring will enjoy the wealth, the kind of wealth that we're building today. And you've mentioned Thando Jiga, and as well as some of the South Africa's prolific writers, including Sfiso Mzobe, Angela Makholwa, and Fred Khumalo, and a whole host of other writers. So what was it about them that made you decide to include them in this book, and what kind of contribution did they make towards making this book a success and inspiring so many people?
Yeah, actually, I think what I did was the most important thing when I had this brief on me, and also from Jonathan Ball when we're talking about it, we wanted to have a balanced book. By a balanced book, I'm talking about we have to consider people from the rural areas, we have to consider young generation, we have to consider older generation, we have to consider women, because women are experiencing this black tax double. They're married this side, from the husband's point of view, from the husband's family is expecting them to be part of theirs, and then also from where they come from. So they experience it double, So I wanted to get women that experience this black tax double, and rural areas, men, old, young. So I wanted to, when I was doing the book, and I'm glad that I managed to get these people who generously wrote very beautiful essays. But as Outlwile said earlier on, it's not exhaustive. And even at the moment, we're still talking about black text. The messages that we get every day, you know, from people. Actually, the book at the moment is one of the bestsellers, at the top 10 bestsellers in South Africa, simply because this is the topic that is burning to South Africans.
And it speaks to every South African.
Some people will say, no, look, you opened my mouth about something that I wanted to say, you know. So every day there's a trend. If you look at Facebook, you look at Twitter, it's trending to show that the topic has been with us for quite some time. And then it's not exhaustive.
Gosh, what a heartwarming book. We don't have much time, unfortunately. So where can we get a copy?
Exclusive books, they sell. Bargain books, they sell. Love books, they sell. And
all of your major stores, really.
Yeah, all right.
You do.
Nkateko and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Well, that was Niq Mhlongo, Outlwile, Tsipane, and Nkateko Masinga joining us there to speak to us about the book. They're featured in titled Black Tax, A Burden or Ubuntu. Well, if you also belong to a book club or are a lone reader, you can also join us for our Sunday morning book feature to talk about some of the books that you're currently reading or have read. Simply send us a detailed description of your book club on email, or you can also send us a picture of those books with a brief caption using our social media platforms. You can use our Twitter handle at Morning Live SABC using that hashtag Morning Live SABC. You can also tag us or send us a Facebook message via our page Morning Live SABC, and our email address is morninglive@sabc.co.za. Let's go for coffee now.
On health